I believe that those of us that have been misunderstood, that have felt out of place, that just didn't sync with the rest of society, had a subconscious cellular memory of a more beautiful life expression that was nudging us. Or we had come from a period of non-physical experience and by our own choice returned to Earth, maybe to help or maybe to complete unfinished business, some purpose and growth for our soul. Ever since 2008, when I experienced an energy moving within me that I best describe as a kundalini activation, it has been a wild and crazy ride. There's been no shortage of devastation, depression, solitude, and regrets. But I've also let go of a lot of energies, behaviors, and situations for the better, not to mention the soul growth and feeling my connection to Source. There have been many peaks and valleys. Things will be sailing along quite nicely for a time, and then I get caught sleeping again. At first I'm like, really? Oh well, here we go again. And if we're serious about this process, we'll know to use whatever is happening in the moment to learn more about ourselves, more about the process, and more about what we came here to do. If you've read any of Eckhart Tolle or Muji or Osho or Alan Watts, Carlos Castaneda, Dolores Cannon, or whomever you've been drawn to that is sharing more about who we are and why we're here, then you know there's much more to this existence than we can imagine or comprehend. There are many diverse spiritual advisors and teachers. There are too many to mention, but there is someone saying it in a way that you will hear it. The overarching theme is always the same, with the biggest advisor being Source, our own inner and higher guidance. I use the term Source to encompass God, the divine, or whatever you believe it to be. Source and all that is represents the one thing. I believe that there is a plan. We're all meant to wake up and remember that we're all part of Source. We're not here for just one go-around to have a nice life and that's it. There's much more involved. When we have an experience of waking up, everything changes. Our bubble has been popped, the veil has been lifted. So while we may be in the depths of a dark night, at the same time our inner eye has been opened. We now look at our job, our relationships, behaviors, choices, and our past, and we see the truth. We can no longer be dishonest or fool ourselves. While this is a crucial part of waking up, it can also be very painful. It can involve illness, breakups, mental anguish, emotional upheaval, depression, anger, and more. And I don't know about you, but I was still glad to have been woke up. How else would I have known about my soul and my DNA and my shadow, my ancestors, psyche, and more? Sure, we can choose to not wake up and live a conditioned life, but I agree with Socrates that an unexamined life is not worth living. There's a great shift happening, a global shift, a universal and cosmic shift. It is said that we each must choose. Wake up and choose which reality we want to live in. Do we want to move forward into what has been coined New Earth, which will be more like heaven on earth, or at least it will be headed in the right direction, or stay with the herd, the old paradigms, the old conditioning? It's up to each of us as to what we believe. I believe that those of us that have been misunderstood, that have felt out of place, that just didn't sync with the rest of society, had a subconscious cellular memory of a more beautiful life expression that was nudging us. We had come from a period of non-physical experience and by our own choice returned to Earth, maybe to help or maybe to complete unfinished business, some purpose and growth for our soul. We seem to have it harder than most because of this. We feel that there's something missing, and so much of what is being played out here on Earth is, to put it quite simply, stupid. But at the same time, before we wake up, we play along as best as we can. We have a job, a career, a family, relationships. We're typical consumers. Our main focus is on the material aspects of life. We know not what we do. Our soul tries to get our attention, but we don't listen. I'm sharing a video on my community page by author and speaker Charles Eisenstein that addresses this quote. It is no measure of health to be adjusted to a profoundly sick society. But there's something else at play that we don't know about because we were in our slumber. Something that's meant to happen, predetermined, but we're too glazed over to notice. We don't listen, we don't see, we don't get it. And then it arrives, what the great poet Rumi calls the beloved. Our beloved arrives and awakens us from this slumber. Yes, it can feel harsh, but it's in response to our resistance, having to peel our gripped fingers off one by one. We've been clinging on, not ready to wake up, but perhaps the serpent has awakened, or the trauma has plummeted us into the dark night of the soul. No matter how we wake up, it will most likely contain a jolt, maybe a culmination of little jolts leading up to a much bigger one. Even if it's through years of meditation and seeking, no one escapes the stark awareness of truth that is both beautiful and alarming. No matter how we wake up, we must look within at all the nooks and crannies. No corner can be left untouched. It may take years, it may not. Even once awakened, we can still get surprised at the lingering residue. Sure, it would be great to have one big let go, one big surrender and clearing out, fully realizing there's no separation and all is well. But for most of us, it's a process. A long and winding road that eventually begins to have less and less curves, and we move with more ease through the remaining turns. We see the bigger picture. We remember we're spirit, we're source, and that each soul is on their own specific journey, not to be judged, some having taken on much harder roles in a lifetime than others, maybe just to provide us with a catalyst or a mirror to bounce off of. You may have a child that's been on this wheel longer than you, an enlightened soul that has its own specific path and purpose. We remember not to judge another's path. We're all here to help each other to ascend and evolve. One day, all is well will be manifested and will be everyone's reality. So as painful as it may be to wake up and face our dragons and manage our everyday physical reality, we remember that this is a temporary physical existence. There's much more to us. We're much bigger and very connected to Source and each other. Energies are on the rise and things are moving faster. Take a deep breath and hang on. Catch the wave and go with it. Don't give up. Don't look back. Be what you came here to be and do what you came here to do. Light it up.